Last night, our first two races of this special event showed that half the battle is going to be about staying out of trouble. The other half will be about finding the speed to keep up with some pretty big names at the sharp end. Is anyone hungry enough to challenge them? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch the Elite Performance Industries Thanksgiving eClassic presented by Team 126 Racing. And you'll see it all live here on Podium Esports. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight is Devin Henry. Cameron Aubernon is on social media, and Ryan Bauer is producing while using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Devin, we saw some great action last night, and they were two slower types of cars, so we come here today with more laps, more power underneath us, so what are we expecting?
Yes, we are getting these super late models out at Southern National, very short 0.4 of a mile racetrack, and all these guys out here have one end goal in mind. Well, I guess five, because 5 positions get paid. You finish in the top 5, you get money. But you finish P1, you're taking home $350, Joe. That is a massive, massive number for any sort of sim race. So all these guys, like you said, they need to be hungry. They want the stuffing, they want the mashed potatoes, they want the gravy, turkey, ham, and that 350 buckaroos here in these fast cars on a very tight track.
Yeah, it'll be a nice plate at Thanksgiving dinner, no doubt. But speaking of this track, why don't you introduce us to Southern National for those that missed it last night?
Yeah, it's a short track. We raced here twice yesterday, once with Legends cars, once with limited late models. Now we get the super lates on this track that opened up back in 1993. The first champion of this racetrack is a former NASCAR driver by the name of Scott Riggs, now his son Lane Riggs in the NASCAR Truck Series. But this 0.4 of a mile racetrack, you really want to blitz these corners, really attack them, put a lot of speed into those corners, carry that momentum through the corner, and then really get on that throttle on exit. Have some speed down that very short straightaway, and with this 17 degrees of banking, you're able to carry some speed, but not a large bulk of it. Corner entry and corner exit, just like any good old short track, going to be the keys to winning this race tonight.
As for winning the race itself, you got to go 200 laps to do that, and they're going to have one tire change at the midway break. Now, that's not going to change any of the positions. It'll be a competition caution, and everybody will be in and out exactly as they began. There's no fast repairs, just like we had with last night, though, and it's, again, open setup. Now, they will have three green-white checker attempts at their disposal if they start to have some cautions there at the end and they run out of laps to try and finish it there, and it's under yellow. So watch out for that. If we start to see a spate of them near the end and 16 incidents will mean you are disqualified. That's not a penalty. That is a disqualification. And considering how much beating and banging we saw last night, drivers will have to be just a little bit more careful this time. But as they start to grid up, let's go through our starting order this evening, as we've got Ryan Kuhn on the inside of Parker Retzlaff. Those were two fast drivers last night. James Seawright as well will start from third, with Josh Cottle in fourth. After that, Cameron Ruggles will start P5, followed by Caleb Hall in the sixth position. Trevor Edwards will begin in P7. You've got Brandon Hertzing in the eighth spot, and then row 5 has Brinson on the inside and Dempster on the outside.
Rich Petruka will start in the 11th position with Aiden Millett in the 12th spot. John Olette will be in the number 13 spot. Outside row number 7 will be Carson Lucas. Chase Pierce will round out the top 15. Blaze Berlin will be in the 16th position. Row number 9 made up of Josiah Jacobson-Poles and Grant Brown. Kyle Amon will be in 19th, and rounding out our 20-car field for a big payday tonight, Joshua Osborne. That is our 20-car field here for this Thanksgiving eClassic.
Looking forward to this because especially for the limited late models that we watched last night, it seemed like these cars with a little bit more fenders on them put on some fantastic racing, especially there at the end where we wound up with a natural green-white checkers, just a 2-lap sprint to the finish to decide the winner of the $175. But even more on the line tonight at $350 to the winner of this evening. And as they come around through 3 and 4, they'll have one more pace lap to go. Got to think that maybe the nerves are a little bit more up tonight with all that's at stake, Devin.
You'd have to think so, because this is a big money race. You don't always get this on iRacing at a track that proved to be so challenging last night in the Legends cars and in the limited late models. Tonight, though, is for everything. And those 16 incident points in 200 laps, that might also play a role in who's going to finish this race.
Got to keep it clean, got to keep it together, respect your rivals, And they've certainly been lecturing the drivers on that. They want to see a good race tonight, even though there's money on the line. Green flag is out, and we go racing at Southern National Motorsports Park. Ryan Kuhn with a decent start, but Parker Retzlaff trying to hold on. Haven't seen the high side do well at starts yet this evening, and he'll slot in the line in second.
And leading lap number 1, usually you say you can't win a race on lap 1, but you can win $15 from Apex Designs, going to Ryan Kuhn for leading lap number 1. That is our only lap sponsor, though, so $15 down, still a lot of money to hand out, though, in 200 laps.
I'm sure when it comes to the prizes, he's rather have the 350 than just the 15. So yeah, lap 1 will be a nice little tuck in his pocket, but we will hop on board with the 27 in the meantime, a little bit farther down the order. As he chases in the mid-pack, you can see they're starting to get mostly single file. 200 laps is a long time, so I'm not too surprised to see things settle in quite a bit more quickly this time, Devin.
Yes, and you have to have patience. Riding on board here with Cameron Ruggles, taking a look at what's going on with the top 3 in front of him, you're going to try to do what you can to conserve that right front tire. You know that you will get a tire change with cold pit stops at the halfway point, but 100 laps is still so much on these super late models. So you still have to contain yourself, but you're going to see the urgency start to rise a little bit later in a run because you don't want to go a lap down. If you're going laps down, that means that your race for $350 is over. So expect that if the leaders ever catch the rear end of this 20-car field, we're going to see the urgency pick up. One car almost around the 17 of Chase Pierce, and John O'Leff behind him ends up turning around after trying to avoid this incident. So our first caution is out here at lap number 7.
Yeah, it looks like that spin from Chase Pierce really kind of checked a lot of people up, and unfortunately did send one spinning off to the side, but I don't see much in the way of contact in there, so I think everybody's going to get away pretty clean. Unfortunately, what this will mean is that a couple drivers are going to be getting an EOL penalty. It looks like Willett and Berlin have been given them. So again, drivers who are responsible or deemed responsible for the caution flags will be sent to the end of the line. I guess the good news is for tonight, you've got a lot more time to try to make up for that, especially here early in the race.
Exactly. You have time to recompose yourself, get back up front. Only 20 cars in this race. So again, it comes down to patience. We're going to have 90 laps to go before we actually get to that halfway break.
Also, we want to let you know that tonight's race is proudly presented by Elite Performance Industries, your home for iRacing setups, apparel, and driver development. Contact the EPI social media pages to get in touch and learn from guys like eNASCAR Coca-Cola Series champion Michael Conti. For more information, visit raceepi.com. EPI, your home for all things iRacing. Big thanks to them for helping get this show on the road this evening. And we are not double file yet, as the lights are not off. So we got to wait just a little bit longer before we get under green flag. But we got definitely a few more than we saw in some of the races last night under green at the start this time.
Yeah, now ready to go back green here. Ryan Kuhn and Parker Retzlaff leading the field early on here, only 11 laps down when we go green here.
Okay, and last time, Retzlaff kind of looked like he conceded that lead relatively quickly as the green flag is out and we are on our way. Will he be able to get down to the bottom? It looks like Ruggles wants to deny him, but he's not going to be able to. He'll have to fall back. It's a side-by-side battle as we get a caution very quickly. John Willett involved again, and Caleb Hall looks like he's turned around, and well, there's no space, bud. You gotta you gotta try and whoa, as the field's actually coming upon them and having to split the cars. Here's the replay though of what put them in that position.
Looks like the 3-car, second time that he's been involved in turning a car around in this race, unfortunately.
And that's Blaze Berland, who's been given the EOL. So looks like we're getting some information from Caleb Hall. Yeah, he's actually been asked to stay at the back of the field by the iRacing software because he couldn't get it turned around in time. So he had a very unique situation on that end. But Blaze Berland's number 3, unfortunately, has indeed caused him to become the bad boy here early on. So he'll have some work to do to climb back forward, as it looks like we'll go around just a couple more times before we return. That was a quick caution, though. Hopefully we don't have too much cautions breed cautions type situations here.
Yeah, and you never know at a short track and a track that's been around for so long like this. You have the banking, you're allowed to really carry so much speed. Even looking in these camera angles right here on the wall, you can see that the straightaways are slightly banked. Obviously, you don't want to be running down there, but the fact that you can carry some of that extra momentum on corner X and try to get back down on the throttle, it gets you in trouble though sometimes when you try to get on that throttle too hard on corner exit where it's banked and they're still banking on the straightaways. It really wants to make that rear end slip out from under you and you lose a lot of grip and can really heat up your tires too if that happens.
All right, so here we go again. Our second restart of the night. And Retzlaff is on it once again, trying to see if he can get to the bottom. This time he can through 1 and 2. Ooh, cars heading up high. That's the one in the 96, it looks like. They hold on to it, no caution, but they are 3 wide in the back of the field.
Yeah, that was not very helpful. The 8 car a little bit further up, gone to the side there, it looks like, of Trevor Edwards, and that caused some 3-wide discrepancy. It has already been a hectic day for Trevor Edwards. He accidentally had the wrong paint where his spec map was actually the paint job, which you iRacing painters know you don't want to see that. So he had some late paint difficulties. And then the car in front of him, the number 4 machine of Grant Brown, it looks like he's had a lot of trouble this week with his late model. So he had to replace some panels on there, had to duct tape the number on there. A very unique paint scheme for Grant Brown in this race.
Up on the high side, that's Cottle in the 16 with Seawright down below now, trying to challenge him. We ride on board with Millette, and I talked about the higher speeds, and boy, you get a sense of it here. Everything just happens so much more quickly.
Yeah, these cars right now are going around the track at right around 14 seconds flat. Ryan Kuhn ran a 14.019 Cancun. Parker Retzlaff was a 13.995, so these guys are really blazing around the track. Mid-pack, they're about 14.5-second laps, which is significantly faster than we saw last night, but even on top of that, we're seeing the outside line be a little bit more of a factor than we usually do, with Cottle trying to utilize that to defend. Again, you're probably not going to go to the outside to take away positions, but you can still use that to defend, pinch the car on the inside of you, and try to retain positions, but hopefully without burning up that right front tire.
Oh, speaking of burning things up, looks like eating up that quarter panel there. 13 is getting some beating and banging in with Millette in the number 9. They've been watching from onboard Dempster just behind them, waiting for something to open up. But they've been plugging up the track here for a number of laps, which we have already hit number 25 of this race. It's starting to tick off here, and still no opening at all. Chase Pierce as well, getting plugged up as we get a car turn behind them. That's Grant Brown he talked about earlier, with the car pre-painted to look like it's been roughed up, but looks like he won't need the paint job to display that soon.
Yeah, roughed up this time, most certainly. A little tap in the left rear quarter panel coming from Trevor Edwards. That very easily. So watch that white number 4. The 1 car comes in. It just takes a little tippity tap. It does not take much for these cars to get all out of shape, especially at the speeds that they're entering the corners in on the 17 degrees of banking. So doesn't take much, and didn't in this case.
Credit to Herzing here. Watch this. Sees the spin in front of him, chooses the high side. Usually not a good thing there that quickly, but still has enough gap to sneak through. And I don't think he even lost a position in that evasion maneuver. So great job from the 96. He still sits in 13th. Also, Trevor Edwards given an EOL because of that incident.
Yeah, typically when I make those late decisions, they don't work out as well as, for me as it did for Herzing, because I think what he was anticipating there was either a checkup on the inside line, and these cars brakes, they don't like to brake when they're in the middle of banking, so if he were to get hard on the brakes, he probably just would have looped it in the first place, or if they would have checked up in front of him too quickly, he would have ended up hitting them. So he went up the track, and thankfully everyone held on to the brakes. If not, that could have been much worse for Herzing.
A couple drivers have been making good inroads in the green flag racing we have had. Matthew Brinson is up 5 spots into 4th. Same thing for Millette, up 5. Chase Pierce is up 6 right now, and he's reached 9th place, and a couple behind him a little farther down have gained a bunch. So they've been doing a good job of staying out of trouble, like I hinted is a big deal there in the intro of today's show. And will that continue to hold out as we've already hit lap 30 out of 200? Once we get that green flag racing, they rifle off those 14 and 13 second laps very, very quickly. Kuhn has control of the field. He goes very early to 72, takes the green flag down at a turn 1. Retzlaff follows him in. Ruggles still fighting with Brinson, who wants to keep gaining those positions up the field, but he's not going to this time as he gets back to the bottom.
Everyone evening out as fast as they can, and right now Brinson sliding into that 4th position, not allowing Cottle to find a lane on the inside. This is going to allow that black and green number 8 of James Seawright to attack, trying to jump inside the top 5 early on, 32 laps down this time by.
We saw Seawright work his way to the front last night a couple times, and it looks like he's doing so early this evening. I say that, though, he's actually 2 positions down from where he began, but he was a player for sure in the previous 2 races of this special event. See if he can continue to gain as things now getting a little bit more tense there in the middle of the pack. Everybody just seems to want to get to the bottom and try and save their tires. But what about Parker Retzlaff? He took a win, and Ryan Kuhn took a win last night. So who gets it this time?
Yeah, these 2 by far have the most money out of anyone so far after the first night of racing. Ryan Kuhn, though, right now owns the most money won by about $10, and then the $15 included in what he won today for leading lap number 1. So these 2 have definitely been the class of the field so far. And of course, everyone knows Parker Retzlaff, the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series competitor and part-time driver in the NASCAR Xfinity Series for Our Motorsports. So definitely a guy to beat, and so far, guys like Ruggles, Brinson, Seawright able to keep up with Kuhn and Retzlaff at the beginning of this race.
Petrucco and Amon there side by side. This is a battle for 12th position, and they've been swapping that back and forth a number of times. Just behind them, is into the wall. Unfortunately, that goes the car of Petrucco, and he's all sorts of wobbly because of it now. Wonder if he did a little damage to it. Tries to gather it back up, and maybe he's got it under control at this point. Looks like he's now a little better, but sketchy moments as we hop over to Ruggles in 3rd position. He is running away from Brinson. It's a gap of nearly a second.
And Joe, like we talked about yesterday when we were on board with someone, just look at how short these straightaways really are, because when you come off the corner, you come off so low in the corners that you're not really straight until you get to about the start-finish line. There's really not that much time until you get back down and try to enter the corner again. And because of that, it is vital to have that speed on corner exit to try to carry that and initialize a pass. But even beyond that, like you just saw one car get a little bit squirrely, it's so difficult once you lose the rear end of the car to gather it back up, because there's only so much time where you're actually driving the car straight. You need that time to resettle all 4 tires under you. If you do not get the car fully resettled under you, you go back in the next corner and you are still wicked loose and unsettled. So it is such a fine line to get yourself and your car back settled going down the straightaway and punching the throttle down to the floor, as opposed to, losing it completely. Because right now, when you're in a battle like this between Cottle trying to take 5th from Seawright, it's a fine line between too much and not enough.
Yeah, and we were watching on board with Cottle for a little bit as he's been kind of hovering behind these 2. There was a look from Seawright on Brinson, but couldn't get the overlap. I want to give credit to Cottle, who is perhaps the most appropriately festive paint scheme of any of the cars out there, and the tires already seem to be going away. We're not even halfway through to the first pit stop there for Seawright, and he's starting to lose grip here and there. Kind of trying to see if he can just get inside the 15. He makes some space, sends him up the track a little bit, but he has to check up because of it.
Lucky that did not cause a caution. Great work at the wheel by Matthew Brinson to keep that car straight, and just like that, Seawright back under attack again here from Cottle.
Apparently the 15 did not hand the gravy over in time, and now he's going to leave some space. The 8 gets underneath him, still can't get to the bottom as Cottle is going to take it, but we get a caution with Millette facing the wrong way briefly, and has a little bit more contact there with the 14 on top of it. Not sure what started this, though.
Millette gets a shot in the shorts here from Carson Lucas going into turn number 1. So just trying to brake for the car in front of you, and that's all it takes to turn these cars around. And then some severe contact from a couple cars coming in behind them. No stock car on iRacing likes front end damage, so that can very easily damage the engine and the power on these cars. So 3 cars there with some pretty intense damage.
As we come back live, of course, we do want to give a quick mention about Team 126, which is an iRacing team run by Jeff Eddy in the state of New York. Check them out on Facebook and stay up to date on all things Team 126 racing related. So big thanks to them for helping also get this one on the road as we get ready to reset. Once again, we're a quarter of the way through. I'm Joe Peak. With me is Devin Henry this evening to call this race here on Podium Esports. We do still have 19 of our 20 runners out there. John Willett is our only retirement thus far in this race. And we have seen a bit of messes here and there, but for the most part, I'd say this has been pretty good, pretty clean racing, Devin.
Yeah, you just get those little bit of bumping and banging, and that comes with short track racing in general, and that's been the cause of our cautions. But for the most part, these guys up front have been racing pretty clean, pretty respectfully, and putting on some really hard, really good racing. We'll see how these guys have been conserving that right front tire, though. It's going to mean a lot here in these final about 48 laps of this first segment.
All right, Ryan Kuhn at the bottom once again. He's been good on the restarts, but this time Retzlaff read him like a book, and he takes off pretty quickly, but just still not good enough behind them. It's been a battle for poor Ruggles every single restart to try and fend off the driver to his outside. James Seawright is not going to be able to overtake him in the end. Is now Josh Cottle, who we saw trying to make some passes before above Brenson, has not quite got the job done.
Everyone back on chase, and Brinson in that blue and black number 15 machine doing what he can to hassle Josh Cottle, but it will not be enough as that 13 car slides back into the top 5. And now Chase Pierce looking to make a move. I'm not going to be able to do it, though. Behind them, Dempster and Edwards door to door for the 8th spot.
And Trevor Edwards down on the bottom side as Cody tries to hang tough, but Caleb Hall fills any hopes of trying to get to the bottom line as they carry their battle on. Now on to lap 57 of this race, and we get another yellow. Trying to see, don't think that was Kyle Lamont because he came out onto the track from the pits. No, it was him, excuse me. He was not coming out from the pits. It just appeared to be so. He got turned around by Osborne and then got an extra hit from Jacobson Pulse on top of things. Now that's pretty straightforward right there.
Well, that's going to pause us once again here. Just over 40 laps to go in this first segment. And remember, Joe, and for everybody, at the halfway point, lap 100, caution is thrown, and these guys are going to go and have some cold pit stops. So the way that they go into pit road, these will not be timed pit stops. It's kind of like what you see in the Arca Menard series where they're going to go do their pit stops, and they will come out in the same order that they went in, just to get some fresh rubber on these race cars. So we're going to go green with about 40 to go up until that point. And I would have to assume, since this is an open setup race, that they will get one opportunity here to try to make this car a little bit better for that final 100 lap stint.
Indeed. And Amon and Osborne were given the EOL for that one, naturally, having been the cause of that one. And as they get filed up and ready to go, all 19 of our runners still out there, and all 19 are on the lead lap, which is the other awesome thing to see. So as long as you're on that lead lap, you're in with a shout until pretty late in the race to maybe take this victory. As Ryan Kuhn once again is on the loud pedal, this time a little bit better over Parker Retzlaff. Retzlaff sees the writing on the wall, gets down to the bottom, and poor Seawright and Ruggles keep carrying that side-by-side battle as they have been for many of the restarts. Now they got to watch out because that 8 is just kind of hovering back behind there. I wonder if Seawright could be in trouble to lose more than just this one position.
Seawright has done a great job defending, though, on this most recent restart. Still, though, having to try to hold back now as one car goes sideways. Caleb Hall, he gets sent sideways and high into the corner. He almost gets hit, too, by Berlin as he was trying to avoid that wreck. Brings out another caution here. This time, we're actually not going to be bumper-to-bumper contact. This is actually going to be a little bit different than what we've seen here tonight. This isn't a product of what you do on the high side sometimes. Not sure if there was contact here, or if the 21 just got in there a little bit too hot, and that will cause another caution here tonight.
I'm going to try and take a look. Does look like Grant Brown was the one to the inside. I think it was maybe just a little bit of net code from what I can see. So the nature of internet racing unfortunately calling another victim. And no, I don't see an EOL given to anybody yet, interestingly. So I wonder if they're not going to hand that out, since it may have been a bit of net code. And honestly, they weren't racing super hard there, so I don't think anybody was doing anything aggressive enough to merit that.
Yeah, especially if it was something incidental with net code or something there, or that can even be a product of just trying to defend on the outside lane a little bit too hard, and when you drive into that corner really hot, it unsettles the car, gets you really loose, and so that could even be a product. So if they cannot determine if there was legitimate contact there, you can't just go back and say, well, he got into the corner too hot, and that was a product of that.
Here we go again. Very short yellow, thanks to the fact that we didn't really have anything to clean up out there. So Kuhn and Retzlaff going to take the field to green once again. And down into the first corner. Boy, Seawright was saved by the bell on that one, because he stays in fourth on the restart. But I'm sure he'll be taking some lessons to try and keep an opening so that he doesn't get caught out by Cottle, who was trying to see if he could peel that away from him, since he's got that inside down there in those 2 rows.
Seawright is going to love this halfway break to put on some fresh rubber on this car, because goodness gracious, he has been eating up that right front on every single restart. Here he finally loses the position, but might also have to give up a spot to Cottle. Now he rides that inside lane. Pierce behind him as well in that white 17.
Yeah, Cottle's got that nose ahead. He kept the gap sealed up as long as he could, and the 8's got nowhere to go, as Pierce is just following him through. Going to become a freight train situation if he's not careful. He restarted in 4th position. He's already down to 5th. Make that 6th now.
Man, he was trying to do what he can to pinch that 17 car, got a little out of shape, and eventually now gets to finally squeeze on in between Seawright, between Pierce and Dempster. Now Dempster in that white 24 car would be next in line, depending on how much tire that 8 car of James Seawright is really obliterated here through these past couple of restarts. Less than 30 to go until we reach our halfway caution.
Riding with Trevor Edwards now sitting in the 9th position, down 2 from where he started. By the way, the biggest mover currently is Pierce, actually, who's up 10, that we just saw take that 5th place. But watching as he tries to catch up to the Mustang of Matthew Brinson, he's at least got the pressure on, but so does everybody in this line. Nobody's really been able to get some clear space, although the one tries to make some at the bottom. We have seen a few drivers move others out of the way today, but I don't think many are willing to maybe get that end-of-line penalty here.
And we are really beginning to see some line variation as Retzlaff continues to hound the rear bumper of Kuhn. These two just continue to stretch their lead over Ruggles by now more than half a second from Retzlaff to Ruggles. And meanwhile, everyone else behind them really starting to utilize different entries into the corners. Of course, this is an open setup race, so you can do whatever you can to make this car most comfortable for you and what you think is going to be the fastest as the race goes along. So that is also going to imply that everyone kind of has their own different line that they're going to run when these tires really begin to wear off. And so you're already seeing guys really enter the corner differently than the guy in front of them. They're exiting the corners and getting back on the throttle at different times. All depends on what kind of setup they put underneath these super late models.
Well, and then a question to you, Devin, because we know that caution's coming up in just a little over 20 laps. If you're Kuhn, do you just go fast enough to keep Retzlaff behind you? Is incident towards the back of the field. Trying to figure out, that was, I think that was the 96.
Yeah, Lucas and Herzing getting together there. We had the perfect spot on that bumper cam. But to your point, Joe, I think that we are seeing how those guys in the outside lane are having to manage how they race this track. Obviously, Retzlaff has been able to really get off the blocks really well. He's been able to slide into second. But then you look at other guys like James Seawright, who restarts 4th, and now he's battling for 6th, and who knows how bad those tires are. If you're Kuhn, you want to make sure that you retain this lead until we bring up that caution. And if you're Retzlaff, I don't know if it's as important. I don't think you need to blitz and try to get yourself the lead because of how well he has executed on restarts to get back in that second position. So I don't know. I don't want to say that they'd be content to finish where they are right now, because I know that no race car driver is ever content in second place at any point of a race. But I don't think that it's going to be a massive hurdle for Retzlaff to overcome if he finishes this stage in second.
It's getting spicy back here as we watch the battle between Millette and Petrucco. there, and it looks like for now Millet's going to have the advantage, but there's another little touch. We've been seeing that a lot between them, and the past couple laps starting to get more aggressive. This is for midway through the field too, so not sure why they need to be that aggressive unless they're really letting this race get to them.
Well, why not? I mean, come on, you're outside the top 10. I got to go somewhere. They're only paying money at the top 5. I got to go. I got to get up front. And now your leaders are beginning to reach the tail end of the field, coming to 15 laps to go this time by. If these guys get lapped, then their race is essentially over. You cannot go a lap down because you're not going to get that lap back, and you will not finish top 5. So it is vital for these guys in the back to continue trucking forward and not allow these leaders to get around them.
Yeah, Josh Osborne is going to be the first to get lapped unless he can keep ahead for about 13 more of them, because there you can see that's our leaders just behind the zero machine. Technically number 13, but it says 0 on the top of the car here on your screens. And, well, he's not going to fight it. Looks like he's going to roll over and let them have the inside.
Now he just has to hope that they don't get the next guy in line very quickly so he can hopefully get a wave around. I don't see that happening, though, because Retzlaff and Kuhn have just been on a blistering pace. Just a reminder, the winner of this race, they're going to pocket $350 in this Thanksgiving Classic. Second place will get $175, third place will get $85, fourth place $65, fifth place $55. Everybody else, thanks for coming.
Yeah, you tried your best, but it's not going to put anything in your pocket, at least for tonight, as they approach now Kyle Amon. And he looks like he might be vulnerable to getting lapped before they get to that 100 lap mark, because they've already caught his rear bumper here in just about 2 laps since we started seeing him on the screen. He's going to just go up high a little bit, not quite as willing as what we saw with the 13 car, but he is going to eventually let them through and then try to get back to the bottom.
On board, and caution flag is out at what was the most unopportune time for Joshua Osborne, because I think this is going to trap him 1 lap down. Might be able to get back on the lead lap with the next caution, but trouble for Caleb Hall in the 21 machine. He was in that battle around that 10th battle, and now he's going to slide on back to the tail of the field.
Just got pushed around by Millet, unfortunately, and then I lost sight of him. I think it's Petrucco. Yeah, Petrucco is the one that completely pushes him around here in the 27. But I don't think there was much Rich could do in that situation. There's just suddenly a car smoking in front of him. Definitely put this more on the 9 than anything.
It looks like Race Control has also showed that as well, as he will get an EOL, and it looks like this is going to be utilized as our halfway caution. Everyone coming down onto pit road. This is a cold pit stop here, so it is not a live pit stop. However, they are coming in is the way that they will be released as well. So this is just to get 4 tires in fuel to make sure you can make it to the end of this race, and the only pit stop allowed in this event where you're able to put on tires.
We've had our most recent DNF as well, Aiden Millet. Looks like he has been DQ'd from this race. So we're now down to 18 of them. And first one out, Caleb Hall. Should not be first one out, I don't believe. I think they need...
Yeah, I think he was going in for some damage control there, and so admins are going to work to either get him to make a pass through, where they're just going to tell him how to line up, and then they'll clear any blacks here, and so they'll get them all rearranged here.
Yeah, you're right. He's back in, so he's going to beat away at that car and get that damage repaired now. So we're going to take a quick break while they resort everybody and get them into the right order. We'll be back for the Thanksgiving eClassic. Welcome back to Southern National Motorsports Park. We're here for the Elite Performance Industries Thanksgiving eClassic presented by Team 126 Racing. We've just had the halfway pit stops a little bit before halfway because we had an unscheduled caution, and they figured now's as good a time as any, so they don't have to throw another right away. And we have seen a few cars go a lap down because of that, because they had to stop and get repairs. I believe they are going to wave a bunch of them around. I see Kyle Amon being amongst them, and it does look like, yeah, Grant Brown, Blaze Berlin, Josh Osborne are all being told to get their laps back so that everybody is on the same lap that they threw that caution, and nobody gets any unfair advantage, even though they went and got their damage repaired. Lights are still on, so we're going to be going for just a little bit longer here, and we're going to try and get everybody back into the correct order. So it's kind of a reset, kind of not here, Devin. They've got the fresh tires. The cars are probably just a little bit more beat up. We've got a lot more marbles all around the place. So what does this mean from here? What does this change?
And I really like what they did too, Joe, because having that caution a little bit earlier is now going to allow this last stint here to be almost exactly 100 laps. We're going to go green with 98 or 99 laps to go. So you are going to put on a full almost half of the race on this set of tires. And like you talked about having the marbles up there, it just goes to show you again that 3 wide is not going to work right now, but we do have fresh rubber on these cars. It all comes down to how you react the rest of this race, trying to utilize those tires and manage them in the smartest way possible. We're going to go green this time by with 98 laps to go. Last set of tires, so figure out what you need to do here to be successful. And we'll see who comes out on top and takes home $350.
All right. So we restart with 98 laps to go. We had our fair share of cautions on that first one. Will it be cleaned up this time? Green flag is out for the second half, and the 72 ahead of Retzlaff once again. And it's a repeat as we've seen many a time with Cottle down on the bottom. This time, though, it's the 16 up on the top. Excuse me, Cottle's on the top. It's Ruggles on the bottom there. What did he learn from watching that 8 fight with that 52? Well, not enough, because he's also going to lose out.
And Cottle just wants to get to the inside. It's now Chase Pierce, now white 17 attacks as well for position. He knows just how much it damaged his tires at the tail end of that last run. To have to fight on the outside lane, he just wants to get to the inside, conserve those tires, not worry about anything. And it looks like everybody is finally single filed out, and now they're back on the hunt. And Joe, because of these tires being brand new, all of these guys are going to have a little bit different rhythm, so they're all kind of skating back into sync. And now it looks like everybody can go back on the attack, try to take some positions away.
Yep, Josh gets back into line at about 5th place with Pierce in front of him. Pierce is now up 11 positions from where he began. So definitely a little bit more focused on the race pace than he was the qualifying pace. But that's, again, where you pay the money out. So that makes the most sense to me as we look backwards off the top of Kuhn there briefly. We were watching Parker Retzlaff chasing him throughout the field. Those two have easily been the measure of the field tonight. It's been basically them running away and building a gap anytime we do get a bit of a longer run. Will that happen this time as the 15 there is chasing on Edwards? We hop on the 96 as well of Hertzing well towards the back of the field. This is down in 13th. He's got both Lucas and Hall just in front.
And you can already see, just watch all these drivers enter turn number 3. They're all taking the entry slightly different with this open setup and how they prefer to run this racetrack. They're even running that inside yellow line slightly differently as well, and you have all these different variations and philosophies of how to get around this racetrack in the best possible manner. This year is outside the top 10. You are so far outside the money. You are just trying to find your way to pickle your way forward and get yourself inside that top 5 right now.
Back to Seawright once again, and the 8 unfortunately goes a little bit high. Edwards, who's been loose for much of the race, is going to be able to hold the bottom this time. I saw him have a big squirm on the power on the last restart, but Hall is now facing the wrong way on the front stretch. This one was some help from Lucas. Looks like we got a replay here. Let's take a little closer look.
Caleb Hall, that white 21 on the inside. Lucas, it looks like they might have banged doors coming out of turn number 4, and a big slap on the right side of Caleb Hall, slapping that wall afterwards. So we'll take one more look at it here from above. Take a look at that white and black 21 and that blue 88 behind him. He's going to go to the inside here. A little courteous, gives him the room, and yeah, I think there's a little bit of contact right there, and the 21 car is probably going to think twice about giving him that much room if they decide to make passes again.
You know, I honestly put that more on the 21 because it looks like he kind of pinches down towards the exit.
Yeah,
but
a little bit.
Yeah, but Lucas has also been given an EOL just like Caleb Hall. So again, they're not picking sides on that one. If you're deemed to be the cause of the caution, then you get sent down the field and restart at the tail end. They're cycling Josh Osborne around to get him back onto the lead lap. He's the only one a lap down. Otherwise, we got 17 cars up at the front. Kyle Amon looks like he's trying to take maybe a few repairs because he stopped in pit lane just briefly there. And he now returns out to the track himself. So going to restart on 83 laps to go. It appears, no, less than that because they have kept the lights on, so we're not going green this time by, but they're all ready and raring to go because they're all stacked up already.
And as you talked about, Joe, Ryan Kuhn and Parker Retzlaff have been the class of the field in the late model divisions. We saw Kuhn run really well in the Legends class. He was on the podium. Retzlaff did not qualify well in the Legends car, and he ended up wrecking in the closing laps trying to get himself onto the podium. But last night in the limited late models, these two finished 1-2. They were the class of the field. Tonight, they are in the big-time money positions, and we got to see, can anyone put anything on these two? Did they have enough changes at that halfway point to make a run at this $350?
All right, let's find out, because lights are out this time, and the pace car is in. Kuhn is on it. We got a different face up on the high side of Ruggles, who's really liked that third-place restart. Just can't keep up with the top two. This time, it is Dempster beside him, and apologies to that 24 if at any point I mispronounce your name, but being from the roadside, my brain just keeps going Dempsey every time I see it. Meanwhile, 24 of Dempster is trying to now fight with Pierce there as he's got the bottom side of the track, and it looks like he's going to be able to make that pass, and he's going to be followed through potentially because here comes Josh Cottle ready and raring to fill the gap.
As you talked about, Pierce is coming from the 15th position right now, falling back into 5th. How about Cody Dempster also has himself on a great run as well. He now slides into 4th after starting this race in the 10th position. So they are the only two drivers who started in double-digit positions to be inside the top 10 right now, and they are battling inside the top 5.
Yeah, it's been fantastic for them so far, but it's still a long ways to go and a lot to survive. But they've done that much. Just look at it. It's mostly single file this time as we watch them head down into 3 and out of 4. We hop on board with C. Wright. That is the car of Edwards just in front of him in the number 1, along with Chase Pierce, who did lose out to both Cottle and Dempster. Now back onto the front stretch. We get another caution, and this time looks like Amon. Nope, not Amon. It is Rich Petrucco.
Yeah, Petrucco got a little bit of help from Brandon Hertzy. Coming out of turn number 4, we'll take a look back here, coming to 75 laps to go in this big money race. The blue 96 on the throttle, and again, we're going to see this throughout the rest of the event. Different philosophies on braking points, getting back on the throttle right there. 27 car had no intention of getting back on the throttle. The 96 was already on the throttle. And a boom and a bang, 1 car goes around and 2 cars head to the back.
All right, re-rack them, restack them. Less than 75 laps left to go now. And I have to give credit to Ryan Kuhn. He's been controlling this race pretty well because Retzlaff obviously has been hanging right there. He's been keeping the pressure on, but just never seems to be able to make the overtake, or if he has the ability to, he hasn't really shown much interest in doing so. So Ryan, I almost think, has a bit of the psychological edge up till now.
Yeah, and I think Parker knows he doesn't need to make a move right now. We're going to go green with about 70 laps to go. He's matching pace with Ryan. He doesn't need to force anything right now. We know these two are buddies. We know these two are going to end up being more than likely the 2 largest winners of money over these past 2 days in this Thanksgiving Classic. And then this Sunday late model feature presented by Team 126 Racing, they're again the class of the field. So he doesn't need to force a pass. He can kind of sit back, weight, pressure Kuhn into using more tire, and then Retzlaff will have a little bit more of that right front and be able to maybe attack, or maybe even the right rears. Consider the rear tires and how you need to get back on the throttle to put the power down on corner exit to start initiating the pass. So if Parker can continue to save up those tires, he's going to be at an advantage compared to Ryan in the latter portion of this race.
We'll see what wins out as we go back to green flag racing. That was a bit of a wide run off the exit from Parker. Wonder if he was trying to do that intentionally just to give himself a little bit of a better shot. Didn't give him the lead, though. Back to the battle between the 24 and the 52. Dempster, can he be the one that finally manages to take that third place away from Ruggles? He certainly looked quick all day long and has fought his way through many cars in the field. He's certainly hanging tough for the time being.
And that outside lane just is not working well enough to use that on the offensive. People can only really use that as a defensive maneuver to pinch the guy who's already behind you. It's so hard to make that pass in the outside groove. Chase Pierce sees the hole open up. Boy, that 24 car bounced entering turn number 3 to the outside, and that car is loose.
Things are starting to get a little sketchy here. Dempster's had such a good run. Can he hold on to it? Trevor Edwards is going to be able to sneak down below once again. A little bit of a touch, and that's going to send the 24 around and into the wall. Does look like Pierce as well caught a little bit of the barrier. It's got the replay up here.
See that. These two guys came from outside the top 10 to be battling inside the top 5, and you'll see Dempster in the white 24 car not matching that same pace that the 17 of Chase Pierce had, and that's all it takes. That little seemingly innocent bump is going to send both of them to the back.
If I'm honest, because of all the wiggles and bobbles that we saw, I could kind of smell that one coming, and I wondered if one of them would wind up getting into trouble there, and thus it became so. All right, then, we reset once more. And incredibly, we still have 18 drivers in this race, despite a number of cautions. Just hasn't been enough speed to really take drivers out. And while there is a 16 incident limit, I guess it's just been spread out enough. That said, one thing that we mentioned last night that we haven't mentioned yet today is that they do have to watch out for how many end of lines they get, because we did see drivers that were given a disqualification last night after being at fault for too many of those yellows. I believe it's 2 that you've been deemed the cause of, that you're sent down to park for the night. And so far, I think we've only seen one driver that suffered that here. Hopefully we don't get more as we go back to green flag racing. Ryan Kuhn with the lead, as he's been all race long. Retzlaff just about finds himself suffering with the 52 inside, but he just about finds some space and ducks down immediately. Still 2 by 2 by 2. Noah's Ark behind them.
Yeah, Retzlaff almost had an opportunity to try to use that outside lane to make it pass, and he was like, I know this isn't going to work, and I don't need to do that. So he was able to shuffle back in line, and these guys not just handing out positions quite yet. Ruggles moving into that 3rd position. Again, Cottle finally is able to slide into that inside lane. On board here with James Seawright, the last car stuck in the outside lane.
Edwards down below him with Brinson just behind. Looks like the one's got the advantage, and he is going to take that 5th place away from Seawright. They go single file pretty much through the whole pack now that we've gotten about half a dozen laps under green here from this latest restart. There we see them flying past the line. Boy, that shot does a good job of showing you how much those cars do slide off the corner.
I mean, these guys are going maybe at the bottom side, 75 miles an hour in the center of the corner, and then add another 30. These guys are hitting 105 plus going down the straightaway. Sometimes they'll reach up to 107, 108. So these guys are setting a blistering pace at blistering speeds around this 0.4 of a mile racetrack. They are really carrying a lot of speed through those 17 degrees of banking. Down
through 1 and 2 once again. Retzlaff now pulling away with his teammate Ryan Kuhn, about 0.3 of a second ahead of Ruggles. This has been very much a repeated story all night long. Once we get some laps under our belts, that it seems to be between these two to decide the victory potentially. Retzlaff sends it a little deep into the corner. Wonder if he's maybe just starting to experiment a little bit to see what he can do differently and try to rattle the lead away from the 72.
And we see it all the time in NASCAR for the Daytona 500. We saw Austin Cindric do it last year, Michael McDowell the year before, where they were already practicing the move that they were going to make. Sometimes 10, 20, 30 laps before you actually have that move set up and ready to go. So we have not seen Parker go on the offensive yet. So I'm really curious what he has in his bag of tricks for what he's going to do to try to pass Ryan Kuhn. It's just been so solid. He's not making mistakes, right? So what is Parker going to do, and at what lap does he pull the trigger to make that move and try to take that $350?
And part of the explanation as to why these two keep running away from things, there's about 18,000 iRating between the pair of them. That is just
insane.
Yeah, it's almost unfair. There's way too much talent in one space there. As we watch from Brinson's perspective, down in 8th position, outside of the cash paying points, and he's got Caleb Hall in front of him. But Caleb looks like he's kind of plugging them up a little bit. There's a train of cars that is forming behind him.
Part of that train right around the 10th position, Kyle Amon in 11th trying to hold back Petrucco best that he can, because he's got a couple of hungry drivers behind him. Dempster and Pierce have now advanced to 13th and 14th, but now they're stuck behind this two-wide battle with 48 laps to go.
Yep, this is Amon on the bottom side. Excuse me, on the top side. Petrucco on the bottom side. He gets through and trying to fight his way back through. He's got to do it all over again. The 24 of Cody Dempster is now focusing on trying to make that overtake. He gets underneath the 14. So does Chase Pierce, who we rode on board with briefly, looking up ahead, just over the shoulder of the driver. This gives you an idea of how close to everything that they're getting, all the way down to that bottom of the banking.
Man, I don't know how much steering offset they're putting into these race cars, but there's a lot of right turn input on corner exit that these guys are really driving with. Onboard, obviously that's a wicked steering offset that Retzlaff has here, because he has that wheel turned to the right in the center of the corners. But some of these guys are really jerking that wheel back to the right. I mean, he's already got that car pointed back straight before he's even in the straightaway. He's still exiting the corner by the time he's putting that steering wheel back to its straight position, if you will, with that offset. Continues to hound the rear bumper of the 72 car. He will not let Kuhn get even 0.2 of a second away from him.
Yeah, and I compare this to what we could see through the window net as we were riding on board with Pierce. It does look a lot smoother, honestly, than those at the back. And from what I keep being told by a lot of the top drivers, that is always what makes the difference. Who is smooth and in control of these cars is usually the one that's fast. As we go back to Grant Brown now, as he's having his own troubles.
A little bit of wheelman right there, able to keep that car not in the wall. They went 3 wide momentarily going into turn number 1. But to your point, Joe, these guys right now are running anywhere between a 14.4 and a 14.6 maybe. So when you're running laps this fast in a race car that is exceeding 105 miles per hour on a 4/10 racetrack, every little bit of wheel input can cost you hundredths of a second. And those hundredths of a second add up lap after lap after lap, where you start losing tenths upon tenths to the guy in front of you. Those little marginal inputs that don't need to happen can be so detrimental to your success as a short track race car driver. We even see it in NASCAR at the 1.5 miles. If you are not putting in the minimum amount of steering input possible, you are losing time to the guys who have that smooth grip of the steering wheel. So, especially at a track like this, it is so meaningful to have a lot of smooth operation to that steering wheel.
Brown's going to lose out and fall to 13th as we head up to Edwards in the number 1 machine. He is the last one in a points paying, well, I keep saying points, money paying position.
Money. More important than points, money.
Yeah, exactly. No championship here, just bragging rights and a little bit of cash, as Coddle's the one ahead of him. So Edwards, if he wants a little bit more in his pocket, then he's going to have to try and make an overtake, and it's just them right now. But the interesting thing that I've noticed is we've been seeing some more of those little struggles coming off the corner, Devin. I believe this is the longest green flag run we've had so far.
I believe you're right, and that also means that these tires are at the hottest point that they have been at any point over the course of this race. So these guys are going to continue to be on sleds as the track continues to heat up because of the tire rubber playing on the track, and also these tires heating up and wearing down. So right here in front of these two, you see the 4-car Grant Brown get all out of shape, and Amon and Hertzing had to take a little bit of action there to not overdrive into him. So yeah, like you said, Joe, you're going to see more and more mistakes happening because of just how difficult these cars are getting to drive. And on top of that, the only guy who is really not falling off the pace of Kuhn and Retzlaff, Ruggles, is still in the conversation. He's still in at least the same straightaway as your leaders. So if anything happens, he might have an opportunity here to make some magic happen.
Yeah, it's about half a second difference currently. Lap traffic between them temporarily. That's Josiah Jacobson Pulse, who was doing a good job of trying not to hinder them, although he's going to compromise the exit of the 52 temporarily. It stays at about 0.6 of a second to 0.5 of a second behind, so he managed that well. Yeah, and you got to wonder if it comes down to the restart at the end, and if Ruggles holding back where he has saved some of those tires, will that give him an advantage if we get a late yellow?
And that's one of my least favorite parts of oval racing, Joe, is the fact that you are having to manage this race car as it is right now. With the tire wear and the tire temperature, you find a rhythm, and you adjust and you adapt to what the race car gives you. And then when a caution happens and those tires cool down and you're having to go through the gears, you have to completely reset your rhythm, right? So that's never been one of my better parts of oval racing, is having to reaccustom yourself to what the race car is going to race like if we do get that late race caution.
And the 52 bounced, or 72 bounced off the exit of turn 2 last lap. So Ryan Kuhn is maybe feeling it a little bit, and there's Retzlaff now starting to fill up the mirrors ever more as he finally wearing out the stuff of Ryan Kuhn. This time he keeps it off the wall, but that one little crack in the armor has probably raised an eyebrow inside the 42's machine.
Yeah, and he did not look stable coming off at 2 as well. We'll see if he looks a little bit more grounded. This time, yeah, it looks a little bit better, but even touching the wall right there can throw you off your rhythm so bad. A good job there readjusting and not allowing that to impact him. But again, even sometimes that's not even the tires wearing out, that's just the driver. Oh, yellow flag is out. Late race restarts coming on up, Joe.
Indeed, and it is Petrucco doing exactly what I saw Ryan Kuhn doing, except he didn't get away with it. It's going to be a single car incident in which he discovers that these concrete walls do not offer much in the way of rebounds. They are just basically, you smack it and you feel it.
Oh, and the wall just grabs him. Worst feeling as a sim racer or a real life racer is being able to see someone else's eyes. That means one of you two are in for a really bad situation.
Somebody made an oops in that situation. Yeah. Oh, so Petrucco probably going to get that. Yes, he was given the EOL for that. Jacobson, Pulse, and Osborne are laps down. So he will be ahead of them. We do still have 17 drivers out there. Blaze Berland has retired. Looks like he did get a DQ on that one, so I think he was the latest to fall victim of too many of either the incident points. And all right, so restarting with a little less than 20 to go. I don't know, what's your thoughts? The guys like Ruggles, Cottle, do you think they've saved enough, or is this still going to be a runaway for the top two?
I don't know, because no one has shown me that they can keep up with Ryan and Parker. No one has shown me that. Cameron Ruggles has done the best, but still half a second off the pace. You got to wonder exactly how he was abusing those tires, because at this point now, remember, no tire changes, guys. They had changed their tires at lap 100, and now how have you abused your tires since? You're about to find out.
Yes, we are, because the lights are off on the pace car. In fact, we will restart with 19 to go for this race. And if we stay green, it'll go very, very fast based on what we saw before. Down to turn 1. Looks like Kuhn will hold back Retzlaff for now. Ruggles can't get to the inside once again. Oh, Retzlaff now try to make his move. He tried to get his nose in down through 3 and 4. That, to me, says that the 42 feels like it's go time.
Was he trying to pull the trigger there? I don't even know, because if he really didn't have the initiation of that pass begun, he just kind of took a shot there. and he did not have the momentum, and now he's going to resettle into that second position. Does he have enough? He's laid back for all of this race so far. Kuhn has led, I think, every single lap. What does Retzlaff have in the back pocket to take a shot here and set up a pass?
And behind them, Ruggles manages to solidify third for the time being. Oh, but it's getting to be close racing behind them. Seawright and Edwards just about come into one another. They get away with it for now, but it's getting ever more tense. And there you can see it right there. Just inches to spare between them and nothing to spare as he sends him around, and Seawright goes sideways and to the back of the field. I think he's going to be joined by that one in a second.
Boy, that is depressing there because they were fighting for the final money spot for $55 in that fifth position. We'll take a replay. Pretty simple what happened, though.
Yeah.
The one car gets in there a little bit hot. The 8 car said, "This is my room. I'm not cutting you a break," and the two ideologies clash.
Absolutely. Seawright and Edwards both given the EOL, but
Caleb Hall's a happy camper. He's like, "Dude, that's $55 maybe. I like that." From 7th to 5th.
That's a good point. Yeah, the 21 is now suddenly...
And he was just in an incident not long ago. He got an EOL himself not too long ago when he had that really severe hit to the outside wall.
And behind him, the 24 of Dempster has fought his way back forward in 6th. So he's within range of trying to get back to the money spots. Can he do that before this is over? Don't forget, if you're just joining us, there are 3 green-white checkers that are available if they get another yellow here close to the end. They do have enough time, I think, for maybe 1, maybe 2 more if they happen immediately. Let's hope that's not the case. But let's hope that they don't have to use any of the GWCs and that they go straight to the finish from here so that we get a nice, clean run to the line as we get ready to restart once again, Devin. It is going to be 10 to go.
And look for the urgency. $350 for first, $175 for second, $85 for third, $65 for fourth, $55 for fifth. Everyone else, thanks for showing up at least.
All right, will Ryan Kuhn have yet more money to go get himself maybe a nice wine for Thanksgiving dinner? Green flag is out. This could determine it here. Just 10 laps to decide who wins the feature race here in the Elite Performance Industries Thanksgiving eClassic. And there was another dive. Parker Retzlaff doing the exact same thing we saw last time, Devin.
But I think in this case, that was defensive. Did not want to allow Cottle or Ruggles to get to the inside of him. He wanted to make sure that he had that inside lane guaranteed, because this time by with 8 laps to go, now he can set his sights on Ryan Kuhn, not having to worry about the guys behind him still side by side.
Yeah, that third place is up for grabs. The 52 and the 16, wheel to wheel. They've been that way for a fair number of laps in this race. They've also got Caleb Hall, who would like more than just that 5th place if possible. In fact, he's going to maybe try to go to the downside as we watch the leaders. And Retzlaff still trying to get close, but can't quite seem to get his nose underneath his rival.
When is go time? When do you need to flip that switch, or does he just not have enough? And then this battle for fourth, this is the difference of about $10-20 here. So it's $85 for third, $65 for fourth, $55 for fifth. Every single spot means literally something.
Across the line, Hall still has 4th, Cottle in 5th. Dempster trying to see if he can get in there somewhere as we come back to Retzlaff now. He is right on top of Kuhn. How aggressive does he get? Is he willing to maybe get a little bit of a bump and run to try and move him out of the way? Or is he going to try and stay fair as they come around once again? It is going to be 3 to go this time by Devin. Time's running out.
This is the battle for $350 in the Thanksgiving eClassic. Kuhn has led the majority, or I think all the laps so far. Does Retzlaff have enough in the tank to make something happen? 2 laps to go this time by. Final opportunities here for Parker Retzlaff.
Dempster managed to get into
Oh,
fifth.
there is a massive wreck on the front straight. We're going to a green-white checkered finish.
Wow. And Petrucco absolutely scythed his way through it, but it starts with Amon in the number 14. Or does it actually? No, it starts in the middle of turns 3 and 4. It's Brinson and Lucas, actually. And then it carries on all the way to the front stretch. Let's watch the replay.
This had some layers to it, so we'll watch him here in 1 and 2. Lucas on the outside in the 88 car. Brinson in that 15 car. They tap as they were not settled going in there, and everybody gets loose. Somehow they all save it. But that 17 car just wasn't sure exactly where everyone else was around him and causes a massive incident that makes a parking lot on the front straight and is really going to confuse this battle for $350.
We were half a lap away from being able to see it go all the way to the finish there. Once they get to that white flag, they cannot throw the yellow. It goes all the way to the checkers. Same deal here in this green-white checkers. So if they make it around to 1 lap to go, then the race will finish under green. If they don't make it there and they get another yellow, we reset and head to another green-white checkers. Apparently, we have lost another car to incident limits. Trevor Edwards is now out of it, and I think Grant Brown, we've lost him at some point in recent time.
So this is going to cause only 15 cars on track for 5 money positions. We will go green this time by Ryan Kuhn, your leader. Retzlaff on the outside of him. And Cameron Ruggles and Caleb Hall in row number 2. Dempster and Cottle in row 3. Who's going to take home the money inside the top 5?
If I'm the 21 of Caleb Hall, I'm not terribly happy about where this all shook out because he's starting in 4th. He could fall out of those top 5. It all depends on how it goes as the green flag is out and we try our first green-white checker of the night. Around the outside, look at Retzlaff, hang tough. He's actually keeping even with him this time. He's trying to make a fight of it. Are we going to get to the white flag here on our first green-white checkers? Yes, we are. We're going to the finish. Ryan Kuhn has the inside. Can he pinch him down? Retzlaff wants those $300+ as he goes the long way around 3 and 4. It's going to be a rush to the line. Does he have enough to do it? They come across and no, Ryan Kuhn beats him by 0.03 of a second.
Wow, what a tremendous restart off the blocks from Parker Retzlaff. I thought there was no way that he was going to be able to initiate a pass on the outside lane, and he nearly does it in a photo finish right to the line for $350. What a way to end the Elite Performance Industries Thanksgiving eClassic presented by Team 126 Racing.
We're going to watch the replay one more time to see the gap at the finish because, yeah, wow, the way that he shot it off that corner was absolutely phenomenal. Here we go. This is the final lap right here. The 2 is technically the 42 there on the top side. That is Retzlaff. How does he find the grip here, Devin?
I think that's partially just the talent there. And man, one more lap maybe, I don't know, but man, it didn't look like he was going to be able to initiate a pass with how worn out these tires were, but he did something almost just as impossible, almost making the only pass that we would have had tonight on the outside lane to win the race. But oh boy, Ryan Kuhn will take home $350. What a weekend for that driver, the number 72 machine.
And it's been a good weekend for us as well with a lot of entertainment, but it's not over. We'll be back after a short break with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Welcome back to Southern National Motorsports Park as we see our winner in the number 72 sitting in victory lane. Ryan Kuhn managed to take 2 wins out of the 3 races this weekend for the Thanksgiving eClassic. Parker Retzlaff took second place in 2 of them as well. So he is going to, he took a second and a first, on those. So Parker is going to finish 0.03 of a second away from getting $350, but he'll still get $175 there in second place. Ruggles was basically third almost the entire night, and he gets $85 for his troubles. Caleb Hall 4th, gets $65 and $55 goes to Cody Dempster. Nice recovery for him coming from the back of the field late in the race. Josh Cottle was 6th as Rich Petrucco, who was involved in a lot of incidents, eventually worked his way up to 7th. James Seawright was 8th and Brinson was 9th, followed by Jacobson Pulse rounding out your top 10.
Callum Mom brings it home in the 11th position with Chase Pierce in 12th, Brandon Hertzing in the 13th position. Carson Lucas ends up in 14th. 15th spot in the last car on the lead lap was Joshua Osborne, and then everyone else unable to finish: Trevor Edwards, Grant Brown, Blaze Berlin, Aiden Millett, and John Olek. Rounds out our 20-car field in the Elite Performance Industries Thanksgiving eClassic presented by Team 126 Racing.
And we have our winner ready to talk to us. It is Ryan Kuhn, who puts another one under his belt. But Ryan, they always say the driver that you want to beat the most is your teammate. Was that the case here today?
Yeah, Parker was really, really fast all day long, and he told me he'd race me really hard the last 20 laps, and kind of just ride there till 20 to go. He told me, and go with 20 to go. So he put a lot of pressure on me. Same with Cam. They did a great job, but it worked out in our favor tonight. It was really, really good to put 4 in the top 5.
That last overtime there, he ran you hard around the outside. Were you surprised he could hold there for that long, or did you kind of expect that?
No, I wasn't really surprised. I was really, really tight at the end, and I told him, I said, I'm plowing. This thing's plowing. He saved, just like last night, he saved his fronts better than I did, and I just got really, really tight. I gotta work on saving my front tires. I've never been really good at that, so I've always been good at saving my rears. I'm used to that, especially in real life. But he all in all worked out good. He did a great job. You guys up in the booth did a great job as well. Thanks for having us tonight, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Well, I have to ask, with all the money you won between all 3 of the races, is this going to a Black Friday sale, or are you treating your family to something special for Thanksgiving?
I'll probably use it for Christmas money, to be honest with you. Christmas is coming around the corner, and I want to buy my family something special, and same with my girlfriend, and maybe I'll donate a little bit of it to charity as well. Last couple days have been good for us. The Fall Brawl win, the Legend Race win, second last night, the win tonight. It's a good amount of cash to rack up, and hopefully I can do something good for it.
I like that mentality. Congratulations, Ryan, on a fantastic weekend, and go enjoy your winnings.
I appreciate it, guys.
That was Ryan Kuhn, your winner. Up next behind him, Parker Retzlaff came home in second, and Devin is talking to him.
Well, Parker, you gave it everything that you could. One last opportunity around the outside, because I don't know, it just didn't really look like anyone had the speed on those old tires to initiate a pass on the inside against Ryan. But what else did you need? The opportunity was given to you to run the outside, and you almost took it away. What else did you need to take home that $350?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good race between me and Kuhn, like I thought it would be from the late model race yesterday, but it was just a little bit too tight on the top with old tires. It was the first time I've been up there in the last year. This is my first super race back, so I was just trying some. I really didn't expect it to work, but I was just went for it 'cause I felt like that was the only chance I had to win it cleanly and not move Ryan for it.
Monday tonight in the super late model. Also last night, the limited late model almost got in the Legends car. But what was this weekend like for you to go and take home some money in a couple different races here and have the opportunity in this Classic?
Yeah, it was an overall good week. It was like I said, it's my first week back in the short track stuff in like a year. So it was really good to work with everyone from RKM and RKM Setup Shop and Ryan for all of his hard work. It was, good to see us finish 1, 2, 3 in that race. And I'm starting to get back into it. I just also got to thank everyone who supports me from Funkaway, Ponzi, RKM, and my parents. I know they're watching, and Tyler for putting this whole thing on, and you guys for broadcasting it.
And hopefully we get to see something like this next year as well. What is it going to take maybe in the future to take down Ryan? He got you to, a couple times here this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I need more laps. I mean, I feel like I got better throughout the race, but it's just still not like how I was back a little while ago.
Parker Retzlaff brings it home in second position, $175 richer after the E-Classic. Congratulations, Parker.
Thank you.
Now we'll chat with the final position on the podium. Cameron Ruggles is caught up with Joe Peak.
Indeed, Cameron, unfortunately, not one of the top spots, but still third and collecting some cash here. It seemed like you had to fight for that third pretty much every single restart, though.
Yeah, I definitely had my hands full. I mean, this was a very, very full field of just very much talent. I mean, the strength of field alone was a 3,800, which makes us kind of a top split style racing. And I mean, with Josh Cottle behind me and a couple other of my teammates, Trevor Edwards, I mean, well, they're not my teammates, but my teammates were behind me. I was trying to work with Parker and Ryan. I mean, it was definitely a handful, but it was definitely a lot of fun.
It looked like a lot of fun out there. How was the car there on that long green flag run as well in the second half? Because that, I think, was our longest of the evening. Went all the way down to about 20 laps to go. Were you struggling by then?
Oh no, it was only getting better at that point.
Oh,
I honestly thought I was getting better at that point in the race, but like I'm not Ryan Kuhn or Parker, that's for sure. Just to be third to those guys was definitely an honor, just to say the least. Those are two of the best on short track side, and when you surround yourself with good people, you just get better yourself. So I can't thank them enough for the help this week.
well, that actually begs the question then, because you spent a lot of time riding behind them, so you had plenty of time to watch and observe. You pick up any tricks?
Oh, definitely. I mean, anytime I get to ride behind somebody that's better than me, I mean, the majority of this field is definitely better than me. But diamond in the rough sometimes. So luckily, I got a good third place finish, and I got it. Ryan's definitely the only reason I'm up here. Ryan Kuhn, in RKM Setup Shop. Without them and all the boys over there that tested all week, I mean, I wouldn't be talking to you now.
Well, well done, I have to say. I think you sell yourself a little bit short because that was a phenomenal drive to third. Who helped make it happen tonight?
Again, just Ryan and everybody over at the shop. Ryan Kuhn Motors, or Ryan Kuhn Setup Shop. God, it's mouthful. Sorry, I don't do this very often. Um, Davis Body Shop, Birch Farms, and you guys for an awesome broadcast. I've never been able to be on a podium broadcast, so I finally get to do it. Finally got on the screen. So thank you guys for the broadcast. Thank you, Tyler, for putting this on. Hope you do it again next year, and hopefully a couple of us league owners can work together on putting some bigger races like this on in the future, because I run my own league, Crown Jewel Late Model Stock Car Series. So if you want to make some money, some more money, we race for 150 every week over there. So
Well,
thank
that
you.
sounds like a lot of fun, and thank you for the kind words. That was Cameron Ruggles, who finished in third here today, which of course is going to wrap us up. So, Devin, what did you think of the three races we got to watch this weekend? Because I got to say, I enjoyed the heck out of all three of them.
Well, like I said when we first started last night, the fact that this kind of gives you that grassroots racing feel where you have three classes of cars. We got money in every single purse, one racetrack, three almost different kinds of disciplines of racing. The late models are close enough, but then you got the Legends car in there too, and they just brought some tremendous racing in all forms, and some sprint racing, some middle of the range racing. Just kind of really reminded you of some of these, like including here at Real Life Southern National Motorsports Park, real life Thanksgiving classics at your local short track. A lot of fun and some really great racing between all these guys.
Yeah, it put on a fantastic show. Definitely impressed me. Saw some incredible talent out there all weekend long. And I'm a bit jealous of all the cash that they were able to bring home, because there's certainly some big prizes that we saw handed out this evening. But again, we can't thank you enough as well for tuning in and joining us here. I'm again Joe Peak, and with me is Devin Henry. So we want to thank a few of our sponsors before we wrap up tonight. Of course, Elite Performance Industries and Team 126 Racing. A big thank you to Tyler Payne at Elite Performance Industries, and a huge thank you to our team tonight, Devin, Ryan, Cameron, and Dougie. Also know this is possible without those behind the scenes at Podium Esports, Ryan Bauer, Gary Sexton, and John Theodore. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of the Elite Performance Industries Thanksgiving eClassic, presented by Team 126 Racing. I'm Joe Peak, and I'll see you on the track.